Welcome to Reels on the Rocks, the show where your host Whiskey and Sweet Tea discuss film from the unpretentious perspective. It's the gift-giving season, and Whiskey has gifted Tea the holiday rom-com, The Holiday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, please be advised that spoilers are ahead.
Sing with me, T.
Okay.
Diddle 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 squabble dee doo doodle dee dee.
I can't scat on command. I can't do it.
Welcome back, dear listeners, for the final pairing of the year before our legendary finale. So for this,
Explain this
pairing,
theme. Explain this theme
Yeah.
for this month.
we don't have a cool name for it, but essentially these film reviews will be coming out in December, which is like the season of giving. So the idea is that T and I are gifting a movie review to the other based on their taste. So
Yes.
I have picked a film that I think T would like, and my pick is The Holiday. So if you couldn't read the title, and then T's got a choice that he thinks I would enjoy that we'll be talking about at the same time, because
Right.
at least as of planned, we're going to release this pairing on the same day. So whether you listen to that one first or this one, you can go back and check out the alternative review, and we'll see how that goes.
So,
But,
your
getting
gift
right into
to me? Yeah, your gift to me. I love getting gifts. Give me gifts.
Right?
Buy me presents. I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm
No,
not
this
like
is
that
your
in real
present
life.
this year. This is all you get.
This is all you get if you get this review.
In this economy? No, but so getting right into The Holiday, what are you drinking? Tea.
Okay, so I had a few options. You actually texted me before and was like, I bet we're gonna end up drinking the same thing. We'll see if we do. Because I
Yep.
was like, I knew what I was doing, but then I was starting to think, I'm like, oh, there's like 3 things that I can think of that you could have picked. So I went ahead and I went with, hopefully, hot chocolate.
Okay.
Okay, I'm guessing that's not what you picked. And I went with
No,
that because of the scene with the chocolate.
Yes, no, and that's a good one too. Is it so you're being sober for this video than
I'm
just
being-
regular
well,
hot chocolate?
Well, I did have like a glass of wine with dinner, so I'm a little out there, but
There you go.
But no,
Here's the important question though. Does it have 5 mini marshmallows in it? Are we being film accurate?
We are being film accurate. It's 5 mini marshmallows. I went with my usual abuelita hot chocolate made with milk, and of course it's, the Nestle Mexican hot chocolate, so it comes with cinnamon in it. It's so good. It's so much better than Swiss Miss. You need to try it.
Nice. Yeah, so this was one, I'm glad I waited until after I saw the film, because sometimes I'm like, I feel like something. And before seeing the film, I was thinking I was going to just do spiked eggnog, because I don't think I've done that on the show before.
Right.
But since I waited until after watching the film, I'm doing something simple, but something film accurate that also I don't think I have done on this show. I'm just doing a glass of brandy. I'm doing E&J brand, so that's what I'm doing. It's like,
I forgot about the brandy scene. That would have been a
brandy
fourth
scene.
option. Okay, so this
little bit of like when he's like, oh, there's a bit of brandy in that bottle if we would like to,
after he's already like trashed.
right?
He's
He's made of something else. But so there was hot chocolate, there's the brandy.
what
are the other 2 options?
So the other named one is Manischewitz. They drink that over the Hanukkah meal, which I found so adorable. And of course there's just generic trashy wine, because if you remember, Cameron Diaz shows up in London. She's at this grocery store with like a cart full of wine and is drinking wine directly out of the bottle, which I kind of wish I had the ability to do at the grocery store.
Right?
So those are what I was thinking.
Yeah,
of.
I mean, they might follow you out and make sure you aren't driving with All right,
true.
So getting into the basic facts of this one. So
Yes.
The Holiday was released on December 8th, 2006. Its budget was $85 million, and here's something that was shocking to me. So it did do well, but its gross in the United States and Canada would have been a bomb. It only got 63 million. Worldwide, it did 205 million, so it did fine.
It did huge
also,
overseas.
that budget is nuts for this movie. I'm kind of shocked that it was 85 million. Like, that's a lot of money, and this is kind of... So we'll talk about that going into this, I guess, but I was kind of amazed that it was such a high number, especially, like, that's kind of one of the things with romantic comedies. I always say horror is really cheap, but so are they, depending on, you know, what kind of... So... Again, I don't know what's up with that. Director is Nancy Meyers. So director of Father of the Bride, Parent Trap, 1998 one, What Women Want, Something's Gotta Give. She actually, at one point, was the highest grossing female director. Now she's been surpassed by Greta Gerwig. But at the
I'm
time,
sure Barbie had something to do with that.
Yeah, literally, that's what's cited. But and then after Greta Gerwig, the Wachowskis, since they transitioned, are technically, so you know, they would be number 2. Anyway, but she dethroned Penny Marshall as the highest, like at whatever time, whichever movie it was, like the highest grossing. So I don't know. She wasn't in the top 5 currently, so I don't know where she lands, but. It's funny, I'd never really heard of her, but seeing her body of work, I'm like, oh, no wonder I like this movie. And no wonder this is her bread and butter. This is like her genre. She's like the Christopher Nolan of
like rom-coms.
Romantic comedies.
Okay, wait, really quick aside, because you were like, you hadn't really heard of her. Her movies are so iconic and so well done. There's actually an entire decorating trend associated to her. People will literally go, I want to have a Nancy Meyers-esque house. You know, and they want it to go on, yeah.
Well, like, that's the thing, right? Like, it's all blind spots and stuff. I've introduced you to a bunch of, like, scary movie directors you've probably never heard of. So it's like, and that's the thing. I like The Parent Trap. I actually haven't seen What Women Want, but I thought the trailer was really funny, and I liked the idea, like, oh, he can read their minds, and like, which, Jesus, that's Mel Gibson back when he was still considered attractive. And Something's Gotta Give won some Oscars, so like, again, not my genre, but she was really big in it, and I've seen some of her other movies, but until, like, researching this, you know, she's just a name that pops up on the screen. Right. Which is what's fun about doing the show, especially if I'm doing something outside of my wheelhouse, like a romantic comedy. Researching this was kind of fun, actually, because I learned things like that. Like, oh, wow, this Nancy Meyers, she's like, was, you know, the biggest lady director back in the day.
Right.
And now she's all washed up. No.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm kidding.
Although
it doesn't look like she's directed anything.
You're literally over here being like, she lost her looks, so therefore no value.
Well, it does look like she hasn't really directed anything in a while. I think her last credit I saw on IMDb was like 2015. Maybe she's done some TV. I don't know. Like, it seems like she's kind of slowed down a bit. But speaking of the decorating trend, one of her trademarks in her films is that the lead characters always have gorgeous kitchens.
Yes.
And a fun fact about her Parent Trap remake. So Annie and Hallie are the twins. They were actually named after her own daughters.
Oh, that's cute.
So I thought so too, right? So last little bit. So with the cast, fun fact, so the main 4 actors were actually in mind when she was writing this film, because that's the other thing. So Nancy Meyers wrote this as well as directed it, and Cameron Diaz as Amanda, Kate Winslet as Iris, Jude Law as Graham, and Jack Black as Miles were in her mind. Like, she had those actors in mind while she was writing the script.
I love that she had Jack Black in mind, because he's like kind of like what I would consider, you know, not your typical like romantic lead. I mean, we'll get into that later, but like, I love that she had him in mind. Like, she was already thinking out of the box just when she was writing this.
Yes. And that's kind of the thing that got me, because I watched this not when it came out, but like a year or 2 later. Because this was another one of those films I mentioned years ago when we talked about 500 Days of Summer. Like
Yeah.
that was a film that was recommended to me. Like when I told, I would say like I don't like romantic comedies. A lot of people recommended some movies like, oh, you might not like them generally, but you'll probably like these ones. This was another one that was recommended that I liked quite a bit, even at the time. And I think that was a big part of it because I was a big Jack Black fan.
Yeah.
Hilariously, this came out the same year as the Tenacious D movie.
Oh my God. And it's funny because I've always wondered, is he actually playing in this movie? And because of Tenacious D, now that I know he has like this whole band and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, he's definitely playing.
Right. Oh yeah, no, yeah. He which was crazy. Like I think there was, because at the very beginning he's like playing the piano and it cuts away right when it gets a little harder to play.
Yeah.
So like I don't know how, like he is a musician. I don't know how good he is at piano. He's very good at guitar. So like that was something while I was watching, I'm like, I knew he was really playing the notes, but then when it cut away and it got really, really complicated, I was like, like I wonder, was that intentional? Was like that the part that he could play? And then anyway, so those 4 actors and then the other 3 I think are worth mentioning. We've got Eli Wallach as Arthur. We've got Edward Burns as Ethan, and we've got Rufus Sewell as Jasper. So that's like the basic facts, but I'll let you get into some of your commentary because I know you're going to have a lot to say. So I've got a little bit of other extra notes, but get into it, T. Do you love this movie? I know you do, but
I love this movie. It's like, I know you picked this one as like my gift, and I'm like, I didn't want to be like, oh, I've seen it like a bazillion times, but I really do like this movie. This is literally for me a movie that picture perfect evening, like I could get hot, like it could be in the summer, I'd still get hot chocolate, I'd like lay out on the couch with like a soft blanket. It kind of just, there's something just about these people, their stories, and the way that they're told, the way that it's decorated, it's all very warm, very comforting. It's like the Campbell's soup of movies. Like, I don't know, like I hope this feeling makes sense to people when I describe this, but it's just such an amazing kind of cozy place to be in when you watch a movie like The Holiday. And I feel like a lot of movies try to kind of evoke this, and maybe this is something that just is maybe Nancy Meyers' trademark. I feel like I kind of feel this way also about Father of the Bride, but cozy, beautiful, perfect. You talked about casting in this. I thought the casting in this movie is impeccable. I kind of think that's where a lot of the budget went to. Because if you really think about it, like 2006, that Kate Winslet was still, major at that time. Jude Law still major. Jack Black was breaking out really. I think he could be. He was kind of breaking out, so he was big. And then she
this was also, it's funny, we reviewed the King Kong movie he was in. That was the year before this came out. So you're very right. Like Jack Black was like becoming an A-list actor at this point. It was a few years before he would do Kung Fu Panda. So like he was already a known actor. Like this was also like after School of Rock and stuff. That was the movie that made him like, a known actor. Like if you said Jack Black, people knew who he was after School of Rock.
Yeah.
But then after King Kong, after the Tenacious D movie, after this, like he was on his way. I think like what cemented him as like a uber famous like A-list actor was Kung Fu Panda. Once he did that, I think he was like made.
Based on his trajectory and where this movie falls in his catalog, and you said it was came right after like King Kong, I think he was trying to be a more of a well-rounded actor, not just comedy all the time. Which he's good in this. He's good in King Kong. Actually, I think he's underrated. If I remember from King Kong, I think he comes across. He's able to play crazy really well, like disturbing undercurrent crazy really well. But I feel like that never really super took off for him. So he's like more well known. Like I think I've showed you like when he's done like black comedies, like that's the closest thing he's gotten to like going back into the more dramatic roles. Like because I remember I showed you D Train, and I think you liked that movie.
Yeah. That was a good one. And he's been around. Fun fact, he was a child actor. Like, people don't know this about Jack Black, but like, he was in an Atari 2600 commercial in the 80s. Like, he's been doing this since he was a kid, but he was never like a super well-known actor, as I said, until really School of Rock. But like, for instance, like Tim Burton's Mars Attacks, he plays like a redneck guy who joins the army.
Love that.
In Neverending Story 3, he is the bully.
See, I forgot he was in Neverending Story. Because I remember
Neverending Story 3 specifically, but he's a bully. He steals the book, starts like messing around with like the world of Fantasia and all that. So
right. Well,
he's been around, but he was always like that guy. He was like a character actor. People'd be like, "Oh, it's this guy, Jack Black. Oh, that's his name." Like people were.
He shared the screen with 3 of the 4 Golden Girls in the Golden Palace series, the sequel series, The Golden Girls, and he also had he also was a main character in an episode of the X-Files. So yeah, no, but like basically what I'm trying to say is I think a lot of the budget was acting. We had him, like I said, we had Jude Law, we had Kate Winslet, we had Cameron Diaz, all still big names at that time. Not saying that they're not big names, but like, they were more in demand than they are now. They also had, even like for like as small as a role as Jasper was, we had Rufus in there, which he is really good at playing a bad guy. If you look at his film catalog, which is hilarious because I usually remember seeing him in more brutal roles, and like he's in this like kind of more of a lighthearted, but he's still an awful person. I'm like, this is your bread and butter. And then we had, I forget somebody Burns played Ethan, that you said, and I remember he was he was a male love interest in a few romantic comedies around this time too. So obviously just, lots of star talent here, and they all work really, really well together. I disagree. Some people say that Jack Black isn't great in this movie. I'm like, no, he's perfect in this movie because he's exactly what he needs to be. I think maybe he was just a little out of his element because he is a more demure guy in this movie, and I think the parts he really shines in is where he can be, where he can be just a little bit more out there. Like, I think I read, and I don't know if this is true, I could be making this up, but I think I read that the scene where he's with Kate Winslet at the sushi place and there's the accidental boob graze, as far as I know, that was improv because it happened accidentally, and he apologized, but they kept it in because I feel like you can really kind of see Jack Black shine in sort of these moments where he is kind of able just to be just a little more quirky and a little more out there, because for the most of the part his character is more buttoned down, and I think that's what's jarring for people to see of him in this role, is he's not out there, he's not outlandish, he's not bizarre, he's very, very demure. What do you think?
I think so. I think so first off, it was interesting finding out that he was like written in mind. I think it made a lot of sense because a lot of the stuff that he says and does, it felt like improv when I first saw the movie, because I'm like, here's my criticism. I think he's good in the movie, but I don't think he's really acting as much as he has in other projects. He's kind of just playing himself. Like, the little scat thing I did to open this episode, that's something he does in the film, but that's also something he does in like Tenacious D, or just in general whenever he's talking about music. He'll like kind of sing, the musical parts of a song. Like if he's describing how something sounds on guitar, he'll be like like that's right. That's just like a Jack Blackism. So that was like something when I saw this as a teenager, I just sort of assumed he did as like, he just did it on the spot, and they're like, oh, that's funny, let's keep that in. Now I'm genuinely wondering if it was like obviously he did it off the cuff, but I'm wondering if like the scat was like written into the script, and I'm betting it was at this point, but as a kid I always kind of thought, oh, he did that on set and they probably liked it and kept it in because that's just something he does.
Does he scat anywhere else in the movie? Or is it just
it kind of becomes his little thing that he does to like flirt with Kate Winslet. Yeah. Because so like their first yeah, for most of the movie, he's off the market because he's got his crappy cheating girlfriend.
Right.
So like he's sort of flirting with her at which, oh my God, there's a Blockbuster or a Hollywood Video or whatever, there's
right. It's a video rental store. Yeah.
Blast from the past, kiddos who don't listen to our show, but that's what we had to do before Netflix, and boy, do I miss the video store a little bit.
See, when I was younger, we didn't have enough money to go to the video store. I remember we went one time. I remember going one time, and it's because we got a free rental coupon, and I kept trying to get my dad to rent Titanic, and he was like, "No, the coupon's for family movies only."
That's crazy, man. That stuff wasn't that expensive. I guess it was. But yeah, no, Blast from the Past. So like the first time they kind of have like a flirtatious sort of thing, he's at, I'm going to call it Blockbuster. I don't know if they ever show what brand of
they name drop Blockbuster
place
in the movie somewhere. So yeah, just call it Blockbuster.
Blockbuster, whatever. So like they're there, and he's going through the movies, and his character is that he's a composer, so he's obsessed with like the music in movies, and so he's going from movie to movie, and he's like singing the theme. He goes to Jaws, and it's just and then he goes to I think it was Casablanca, and he's doing the thing. Forget what the name of the song is.
I know he does. He does Driving Miss Daisy, Chariots of Fire,
Driving Miss Daisy,
Gone with the Wind,
he's doing,
and then Jaws.
Exactly. So, but he's doing his little Jack Black scat thing.
Yeah.
And that kind of becomes like their thing. Like at the very end when they are together after his cheating girlfriend cheats and after she finally falls out of love with Jasper, like they're getting cozy with each other, and they're like both scatting. So that kind of becomes like, because then she starts doing it with him. At first it's like embarrassing that he's doing it in public and she's laughing, but it's like he doesn't care, and that's kind of what makes him like kind of attractive, is that he's just a goofball and he doesn't care. And then she's willing to get goofy with him.
Right. Just like they're so cute together.
But it was also smart getting him in the movie, because I didn't see this when it came out, but I do remember when the trailer was like playing before movies, and I was like, Jack Black's in a romantic comedy. That's awesome. Like because again, he wasn't a super well-known actor, but he was also not considered a love interest by any means. It's funny because now a lot of people think of him as like very cute and cuddly. And like he has a wife, he has kids, so obviously he can be sweet and romantic when he wants to be.
I get it, but Whiskey, he's off the market. Thank you for reminding me.
Right. Yeah, so but like to me, it felt great because I wasn't like by any means as down bad as some kids you see today, but I was not like Mr. Popular as a high schooler, and I liked Tenacious D and stuff like that.
I'm pressing X to doubt. Yes, I did just say that. I need to stop.
So that was like a great way to get my butt in the seat. Even though it didn't work and I didn't see it in the theater, I eventually did see it. But that was like something that appealed to me. Like, it's not just hot people in the movie, which I think is, you don't see that as much anymore with romantic comedies. But I feel like for the 90s and 2000s and 80s, like for most of the history of that genre, it's like we get attractive people who are already...
it's like attractive people being like, I have problems, and everybody who's watching is just like, yeah, I'm sure you do. Like,
the only other one I can think of that, like, in my opinion, didn't have an attractive lead was When Harry Met Sally.
Oh, I didn't think
no offense to Billy Crystal, but he's not someone I would think of as like.
And no offense to Meg Ryan,
sexy.
I don't think of her as super attractive either.
Yeah, so and that was kind of the whole point of that movie too. It was like very relatable, and that's another one that I kind of cite as like a really good romantic comedy. But I think that's part of why it's so liked by most people, is it's like, it's these very like average looking people interacting normally with each other. It was very well, and then there's like that whole thing in the movie where it's like, men and women can't be friends, and you know, like they'll eventually start dating, and like the whole point of that movie is that they break up and they're still friends afterwards. Anyway, that's the only other movie I can think of that doesn't have like hot leads as a romantic comedy. Again, these days you get a lot more diverse casting with rom-coms when they come out.
That's true, but the casting in this movie was impeccable, and I think everybody had really good chemistry with each other. And
yes.
I don't know if you understand this, but let me see if you do. It's like watching this, I feel like I can tell that they had a happy set. Do you know what I mean? It's like sometimes you can kind of just feel like there's just good vibes on the set from watching the movie, and sometimes you watch it and you're just like, this was probably not a happy set. Like, I remember one of my favorite rom-coms. Is it a great movie? No, but I love it. Confessions of a Shopaholic. Love that movie, but like, I didn't feel like they were like a super close cast or that it was a super happy. Not like it was unhappy, but it seemed like the people there were more like, okay, I'm showing up to work and I'm going home after work. You know what I mean? Versus, you know, people who kind of like vibe with each other. And I feel like these people sort of just vibe with each other.
Yes, I definitely know what you mean. It definitely seemed like a happy set. Frankly, like that was the other kind of thing I liked about Jack Black's side of the story was it's like Kate Winslet. Oh my God, it's the pretty lady from Titanic and Jack Black are getting together. Like,
right? Oh my God, they're gonna have adorable babies. If they choose to. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just remember at the end of Titanic, he's like, you're gonna go on, you're gonna have lots of babies.
No, I knew what you were referencing. Isn't it funny? She keeps getting with these Jacks.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
She's got a thing for Jack, even though his name's Miles in this movie.
Right. So that's really good about this movie. And one of the things I really like about this movie is I like the structure, the way that this film is structured.
Yes.
So
let me go back because we talked about Jack Black and Kate Winslet. Like you're absolutely right about the casting. Like Jude Law was kind of a big deal at the time. Mm-hmm. But when you think of just the main ladies, like Kate Winslet's like a character actress. You could make her play whatever and she'd do a great job. But I love Cameron Diaz is like perfect for like Hollywood girl. You know, there's like that funny line with Graham's kids where she's like, "You look like my Barbie." And it's like,
I mean, like they're not
like exactly.
Wrong. She's so pretty.
No, well, she looks like an LA woman. Like you know, without even having to act, she looks like the type of person.
Now I forget.
Would live in a mansion, and
was she the one that she originally started as an adult actress? Was that her?
Oh, yes. Well, like softcore, from what I understand, and she has nuked all of those films off of the face of the earth. And if you ever like try and show any of them, she'll sue the living hell out of you.
Love that for her.
But yeah, from what I understand, I think she used to be in like soft, so she never actually like was in like the industry. From what I understand. But who knows? Because she nuked all the films off of the face of the earth.
But like, I did bring that up as like a point of shame. I'm just like, when you talk about like LA Girl and there's like, there's that whole stigma. Yeah.
You know, but nowadays, like Miami kind of overtook LA, and now with OnlyFans, it's like, it doesn't matter where you live. But yeah, that was like another thing.
It's Wetumpka, Alabama.
Right?
No,
Sweet home Alabama. No, right. in Alabama, it's not stepbrothers and stepsisters. They skip a step.
We just got an insight into Whiskey's browsing history. Totally kidding. But no, Cameron Diaz, like you said, she is really good as kind of this workaholic, but still somehow able to look amazingly attractive, because you and I both lived and worked in LA, and those two things go hand in hand. They're these workaholic people that look like they spend all their time on their body, even though they're like workaholics. And she looks the part, and she's able to kind of play the part too. The whole part of not being emotional, pulling it off as somebody who doesn't like cry. She hasn't cried in like 30 years or something like this, and she was really, really good in that role. And then we had Jude Law coming in as kind of like, you know, the mysterious English stranger, which first off, he has like an amazing gaze that can like melt Haagen-Dazs. So that's amazing. But then he's also
the thing I like about our leads is that they're foil characters. You've got Iris, who cries constantly, and then you've got Amanda, who can't cry. And then you've got Iris, who's like hyper romantic and is like hung up on the same guy, and then you've got Amanda, who can't commit.
She can't commit, and she's
and
also
doesn't want to get married,
everything.
doesn't want to get tied out. The fact that like she doesn't want to get tied down with kids comes in later with Graham and stuff.
Right.
But I love like they're polar opposites. Like they're, again, this is kind of good, smart as far as getting someone like me in the movie, because I was way more invested with Iris and Miles than I was with Amanda and Graham. Like for me, I would sit through the Cameron Diaz stuff to get to the Jack Black stuff, you know. Not that it was bad, I just didn't care as much because it's like they kind of were the hot people in the movie.
Yeah, Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, put the fries in the bag. We're
exactly. It's like well, like if it was a more traditional rom-com, it would have just been about Cameron Diaz and Graham. And like coming back to that story, because I realized while watching this, I'm like, dang, I don't think I've seen this movie since I was a teenager. Like I watched it multiple times, probably in the course of like 2 or 3 years or whatever. But then after that, I think it was like, I need to see more like important quote unquote movies and expand my stuff. And, you know, like,
went through your snob phase. On. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, like, and I watched other rom-coms
right.
later on. You know what I mean? It's like, I've seen this enough. I didn't own the movie, so I was borrowing it from someone when I was watching it. So I just, you know, it's like, oh, I've seen it. I'll watch it some other time. At the time, I also probably was like, it'll be on like ABC Family's Christmas movies or
right.
something.
That's how I watch it every year, because it gets rerun during the holiday season.
Right? So I hadn't watched this since I was a teenager, and I was more invested in Cameron Diaz this time, but still, like, the Iris Miles thing feels so much more relatable, and I think it's smart. We'll venture into the structure now, because like the thing that I think is important is that we start with Iris.
Yes.
You could argue that she is the protagonist. Technically not, because I think runtime wise, we spend more time with Cameron Diaz and Graham. But getting us into the story with Iris is smart because you feel so bad for her and just what a scumbag the guy she's in love with is. And between the two of them, she needs a vacation.
She does need a vacation, and well,
like Cameron Diaz does it because she's mad and she's like, I'm a workaholic. I need like she could have gone on without taking a vacation, but she's just sort of like, I should probably do this. Whereas Iris, it's like she needs a vacation. And you even see it like her first day in LA, it's like she sleeps mostly the whole time.
Well, I just want to say quickly about Iris's character. This is probably one of my favorite opening monologues in a film ever. I love this monologue. I am not ashamed to tell you there's many times I've been heartbroken and cried and just listened to this monologue on a loop. What she says, it's so true. The identification of emotions, and she sets up all the relationships in the movie also perfectly. She understands things, which I do think will play into the structure later, but this is probably, I think, one of the greatest opening monologues ever. I don't know if you'll agree, but I love this opening monologue that she gives.
It sets the stage really well, and like you said, it also kind of sets up all of the different like relationships in the movie and stuff. Again, she's the most likable character in the whole movie, in my opinion. And she's the one that needs the holiday. She needs to be pampered in a Hollywood mansion, and she needs to have a guy who actually puts in an effort to be with her.
Right.
And that's kind of like, where Miles is attractive, because like...
I will disagree with you that I don't think that's what she needs. That's what she gets, but that's not what she needs. That plays into the structure. She needs to be her own person again. She has lived so long for Jasper. She has forgotten how to be Iris. Just Iris by herself. And I feel like, because some people will say, and this is talking about the structure, people will say, oh, well, you know, it looks like it's an equal couple of you, but it's really more about, you know, Cameron Diaz and Jude Law's relationship. If you think about it, Jack Black and Kate Winslet really don't kind of get together towards the end. It's kind of hinted, but they don't really get together towards the end. It's more, her story is more about what she does to help Arthur. And
That is true. That is true.
And she does all that and she helps him, and they don't even get together until after she's told the other guy off, which I think is very, very,
Yes.
very important.
Well,
her story
not
is more
only
about her
that-
finding herself than the type of man that she needs, and I think that's incredible, especially for that time period.
Exactly. No, and I stand by my words that that's the type of man that she needs, but
yeah,
she doesn't need a man, period, as far as like herself. And you're absolutely 100% right. And that's the other reason I think I liked her story more as a kid, because it was more movie focused and it was more like there was like something else going on besides romance.
yeah,
And I also like that she tells off her love interest, like not even love interest. She tells the bastard off
her infatuation.
So after that happens, then Jack Black finds out that, you know, his girlfriend Maggie or whatever her name is cheating on him.
Yeah.
So she's like feeling really empowered, and then she watches the same thing happen to him, and she's kind of there to be like a pillar of strength to like help him get through it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that from her telling the guy off, like, it gives him kind of, there's sort of a bit where she is like, oh, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. And he's kind of, you're not sure if he's going to take her back. You have a feeling he probably won't because you're watching a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
But I think that seeing what Iris went through and hearing about that from her and everything kind of, I think he made the decision because he met Iris. I think if he hadn't met Iris, he probably would have just forgiven her and been like, "Oh yeah, it was a mistake. We can move on."
Right.
But because he's like, "Oh, you know, she's just like this guy that Iris is dealing with. She's not going to really apologize. She doesn't care." You know, I think that she kind of ended up being like inspiration for him to sort of take back some of his autonomy in the situation as well.
And I love about that breakup scene that he has is we get a POV shot. First, we get to see them in the same room, but we get a POV shot of like the girlfriend like making her case. And I think that's really good because it basically really puts us in Jack Black's shoes. I need to stop calling them by their actors' names. It really puts us in Miles's shoes.
I was doing it too.
Because we get to sit there and cross our arms and basically be like, no, sweetie, no. It's like, because like we all have seen who Miles is and what Miles is like. We get to tell her off in our own way. And I think that's there for us to kind of tell off our cheating exes, our, you know, emotionally distant partners. Because it's really important that we do see Iris tell off Jasper. That's important that we see her do that. But I feel like the breakup between Maggie and Miles exists for us to be able to tell off our exes, our emotionally distant partners, our toxic situationships, all that. And I think that's why that is shot that way. And that's just my opinion. I think that's what makes that scene really good. And also when we do cut back to Miles, and it's just like, and again, look, he's like a puppy and you still did this, Maggie. What's wrong with you? You know? So I think that was a genius way to shoot that scene.
Yes. And conversely with Amanda and Graham's story, Amanda, like I said, is sort of an aromantic person. Right. So in the same way that an overly romantic person needed to have a little adventure teaching a guy how to walk again, Amanda needed her fairy tale love story to kind of inspire her to be more affectionate and get more in touch with her emotions.
Right. Basically opposite
because
things.
That's really what the crying is about, is it's like she's very like emotionally cut off. She doesn't really date. I mean, hell, you could even kind of say like, what does she do when she first meets Graham? I think we should have sex.
Right, like she's so straightforward. It's like it's very like, because if you think about it, Ethan, the guy that she left at home, is very much like, it's like someone for her to come home to, have sex with, have a body there. There is no emotion. And so the two stories, they needed opposite things. She needed romance. Kate Winslet needed the opposite. And like you said, they're foils of each other, and their stories are foils of each other. And I think that also makes this movie great, is because it's like it's almost like they're saying there's two types of people in the world. There's lots more, but the base, the cynical and the romantic, and the movie's showing what a wounded of each person might need or benefit from.
Yes. And the other thing about pacing that I really appreciate, it's funny, it's been enough of a time where I remember the gist of the movie, and I definitely remembered all of the stuff with Iris and Miles's story and Arthur and all of that, but all I really remembered from my teen years watching this with Amanda is, it's like a more traditional love story. They're both hot. I forgot what Graham's backstory was, so kind of rediscovering the pacing with finding out that he's a widower with two girls is actually super funny. Because she, being cynical and being aromantic, just assumes, based on her time with Ethan, that he's cheating on her. Yeah. Because he's always on the phone with Sophie, and so like you think, he's a Casanova, he's probably sleeping around the village and whatever. And so then when she finds out he has two daughters and they have the same names as the woman he was talking to, it's just, I don't know. It's another kind of thing about this movie. Like, it is a romantic comedy, but I always kind of, I always sort of would like think of it not so much as a comedy, because it, like, I wouldn't call it a drama, but I like the comedy is very light, or at least it felt that way to me at the time. It was a little funnier coming back, and it's probably because I'm a little more grown up. Yeah. I feel because there are jokes, it's just like very light humor, like that. Again, like that to me is really funny, that she was so cynical, she just assumed that he was a womanizer, and then you find out quite the opposite. He's actually like a very sweet, loving father. Like, right. And,
I love when she walks and she's like, I love how she still walks in and then still goes, "Are you married? Tell me fast." I'm just like,
yes.
I'm like,
again, like she cannot
answer that question. She can't put the doubt away.
Yeah, it's like he has to be a scumbag, because that's all typical LA woman. All she knows is scumbags. So it's like, there has to be something horribly wrong with him.
Speaking of that, I've always wondered this about this movie, and I've never Googled to see if anybody actually agrees with this, but I want to see what you think, because we spoke about how she just assumes her husband was cheating. Do you think he was actually cheating, or he just said that because he thought that's what she wanted to hear?
Oh, I think he was cheating.
Okay.
Well, and that's like another thing too. So like, she mentions that Ethan repeatedly told her that she wasn't even very good at sex, which is like monstrously mean to do, even if it's true. But it's also like his excuse for cheating, obviously.
That she was bad in bed, and I'm like, that's a horrible thing to say to somebody.
It is a horrible thing to say, and even if it's true, it's like, it's not something you want to say to their face. And Graham is like, he's completely wrong, by the way. But yeah, no, I completely believe he was cheating, especially knowing that backstory, because like if he's openly telling her she's bad in bed, it's like, okay, well then he's gonna be, especially if that's all he wants out of the relationship and she's not even good at it, in his opinion, he's gonna be cheating on you. The other joke that actually made me laugh out loud, and I saw it coming, like I again, my memory is a little fuzzy with this movie because it's been so long, but I knew it was coming, probably from light memory, but also just the Telegraph. The bit where she is on the phone with Graham and Amanda and keeps switching lines. Yeah. And I knew it was going to happen, especially the editing is great, because it just hangs on her. Well, she's like, "Oh my God, you slept with Amanda? How could you?" Blah, blah, blah.
Still me.
And then Amanda, "Hi, it's me. Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And then she changes it over again, and then it's like, goes, says some more things, and then
it's still me.
Here. Yup. Like that great scene. Very funny. But the pacing is great too. Again, most of the runtime we spend with Amanda. Like we start off with Iris we get to the point where she puts her house up for the swap thing and is crying to herself, and then we swap over to Amanda.
No, she's sniffing oven fumes. She's like, she's ready to let go.
Yes, that actually made me laugh too.
I love how she even realizes how ridiculous. She's like, oh my god, low point.
That cracks me up. Everyone who listens to the show knows I love my dark comedy, and I was kind of like, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot that it went there.
I do feel like that this is a movie, and I think this, if I remember correctly, this is a movie I had to grow to love, because I do feel like you do need some sort of emotional maturity to really appreciate this movie, because I feel like if you were just watching it as a younger person, and there's long stretches of what I think somebody could perceive as nothing happening. You know what I mean? But I
think I appreciate Cameron Diaz's story more because I have more life experience.
Oh are you aromantic
I definitely did not experience any of this. You know, I'm not a multi-million-dollar film trailer cutter, and I have not been cheated on by, you know, like a Botox ridden supermodel or anything like that, but just appreciating things like you know, Graham's charm, and the fact that he is prioritizing his daughters, his little thing about compartmentalizing hit a little bit better. It's, again, I enjoyed this film as a kid. I didn't, like, you know, skip through all of the scenes with her and Graham when I watched this as a teenager. But I appreciate them more now. Like, I found them less boring. But the pacing is interesting because, again, we start off with Iris, then we go to Amanda, and we're with her for like a brief moment. Then she, you know, same day, within like an hour of Ethan leaving, that's when she like, okay, I need a vacation. She puts her, you know, and then she gets into contact with Iris. Then the swap happens. And then we're with Amanda for like a pretty long amount of time.
Yeah.
And it isn't until like, I think she's like sleeping, you know, like she goes off to like sleep with Graham, that we go back to LA.
Yeah.
And then that's where we like, oh my God, she's look at this house. And then we kind of end on a bit of a low note with Iris, because she gets sucked into reading some pages from the guy again, and she goes back to bed.
Right.
Then we go to Amanda, and it's like more with Graham. It's like the morning after.
Well,
she's like, I'm leaving, and he's like, okay, well, if you change your mind, I'm going to be getting drinks with guys later with my friends, not with guys.
And when she
with my friends
shows up, it's so cute. But
she doesn't show up. It stops there. Then we go back to Iris, and that's where she meets Miles, because he comes by not knowing that Amanda's out of town to pick up a few of Ethan's things, and that's where they kind of have their meet cute. He talks about the Santa Ana winds. Anything can happen. Don't blow away, which is kind of their cute little loving. Exactly. And then that's where things pick up with her. That's also where she notices Arthur walking by. And so it's like, okay, things are getting a little bit better. Then we cut back to London, where Graham's having his drinks, and he looks over, and look, Amanda's there. And there is a little bit of suspense. Again, like, you kind of know, because you're watching a romantic comedy, that everything is going to go right at some point.
Right.
So, you know, it's like, she's probably not going back to she's not going back to LA.
Right. Especially after
but there is a little bit of suspense.
Story.
Exactly. Well, and there's a little bit of suspense. Like, I even remember as a teenager being like, no, like, Iris deserves a vacation. Don't cut it short just because you're having a bad time.
I feel more bad for Iris than I do for you in this situation.
It's like, hey, maybe you're having a bad time because you just decided to get really drunk in a house alone by yourself and sing the Killers.
Mr. Brightside.
Maybe that's why you're having a bad time. Maybe it's because you're not really doing anything in the town that you're going. Anyway.
Right, like she's there for like 5 minutes and it's like, okay, time to go home.
But yeah, then it's like back and forth, but typically the chunks of time with Amanda and Graham tend to be longer. And we don't even really get to see what Iris's story is going to be until like maybe an hour and 20 minutes into the film.
Right. I think that's kind of when she first kind of meets Arthur.
Yeah.
And speaking
that's
of
like
Arthur,
where the tail end.
Let's talk about Arthur.
Yes.
So Arthur, I think, is a really sort of now I think this phrase is overused, but I think it really applies here. Arthur really is a love letter to the great romantic films of past, and of especially with the movies and things that he recommends of the great female characters of times past. So I think we forget that there were quite a few that were out there. They're not, unfortunately, as fondly remembered, and I think that's kind of like the point of Arthur with the way he writes and everything like that. And the fact that we get this whole kind of like just backstory into a whole like forgotten land of movies is really, really, really nice.
Yeah. The other thing I forgot to mention about Iris and Amanda, about them being foil characters. So she works in publishing, like, I guess she's a journalist, or,
She works for the
writes for a
Telegraph.
magazine or something.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. That's okay. So a magazine. But she is super into books, and obviously Amanda is super into movies because she cuts trailers. So I thought that was kind of an interesting aspect of the switch.
Yeah.
Whereas she's usually more bookish, and she likes movies, but she hasn't seen that much. And Arthur's recommending all these classics to her that she's never seen.
Right.
And that was another thing with Amanda. It's like, oh, all these books I buy because they're on the, Oprah's list or whatever, but I never read them. And she never ends up reading them, but, that was something that she was thinking of getting into. I love that bit on her first class flight to the UK where she's just sleeping and there's just a big pile of books next to her she still hasn't touched.
She has these pile of books, and she's like instead reading a magazine, which is just so funny.
Yep. Yep. But that was another thing about their characters that I think is kind of foil-esque, where it's like, oh, one's really bookish and one's really into like Hollywood and cinema and stuff.
Visual cinema.
So but yeah, no, Arthur is definitely he's another reason why I liked Iris's story more as a kid, because I was into movies, and it's like, oh, yeah, that's cute. It's like this old man. He's, a legendary screenwriter, and everyone's forgotten about. Well, he feels like everyone's forgotten about him, and he just, happens to live in the neighborhood. And that's kind of a heartwarming thing with the story too, is like, oh, no one wants to see an old fart like me, and I couldn't even walk up on stage to accept my award or, give a speech or anything. So, Iris is getting him ready to walk up on the stage. Miles writes him some music to kind of inspire him to have the motivation to do it.
Right.
But that's like one of the most heartwarming parts of the movie. Isn't even like the romance part of it. It's just like he thinks nobody cares about him or remembers him. And, when he gets to the Screenwriters Guild, they're just, oh man, it's so amazing you finally got to come. And he's expecting, he like even
no
says
one
like
to be
part
there,
of the reason there's gonna be like 17 people or something, and no, it's like a full-on packed auditorium. I think there's even a couple of shots of like different celebrities that are there.
Yeah.
Which also probably contributed to the ballooning budget of this film.
Well, and then like even Miles, he's a relatively speaking like a relative young newcomer. I mean, like, he's successful, but he's, in the grand scheme of things, a newcomer to the industry. And even he's like, oh my God, no, yeah, Arthur, he's like one of the greats. He could like rattle on just facts about him. Like, even he knows who he is. It's like everybody knows how great Arthur is, except for Arthur, which is basically Kate Winslet's story. Everybody knows how great she is, except for her and the loser that she's paying attention to.
Which is why it's an amazing twist when she finds out Arthur is essentially like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, and he was part of her this whole time.
Right? Oh man,
that'd be quite a turn for the movie to take. No, and that's actually a good point. I never even thought of that, but and that's probably part of what helps inspire her to finally break it off with Jasper. That scene, by the way, like, it's, I know the whole point is everybody is screaming at the screen for her to stop and get away from this greasy little worm, because just right off the bat, like in the opening scene of the film, like, of course, why would you even talk to the guy after he didn't tell you he was getting engaged?
Right? Like, they had that whole
like
scene.
That is so crazy, like, that she would still
but she
hold out any kind of hope.
She even towards him, she's talking to Miles, she even frames it as though, oh no, she's talking to Arthur, she even frames it as though it was like, she even says, he forgot to tell me. No, girl, he didn't. He purposefully withheld that information. She's like, still, like, white knighting for him. He's like, he's not even in the room, and she's still making excuses for him.
When he shows up on the doorstep, it's, first off, and I'm guessing it's because she told him. Well, I guess she had to, because he
mails her.
Who sends? That's another thing that makes this movie feel kind of in its time, is it's like no one would physically send pages anymore. Like, when that happened, I was like, oh, he's going to email her, because I hadn't seen the movie in so long. No, he physically sends the pages of his book to the address, which is already kind of like a red flag, because that's probably why he wanted the address in the first place. Like, oh, where are you?
Right.
But yeah, when he shows up at the front door, it's like any person with a working brain would be like, that is so creepy. Get the hell out of here.
Get out of here. Go.
I didn't tell it. It's, I feel like Zoomers these days, like, they tend to be a little bit more like aware of that kind of thing. So I don't know.
Like,
but yeah, then well, and here's the thing, like, he immediately gets all lovey-dovey with her, and she kind of falls, and that's the whole point, it's because she can't help but fall in love with the guy. Despite him being a scumbag. But it's like so frustrating to watch, because it's like, girl, did he tell you that he broke off the engagement? Which is eventually where it goes, is her being like, well,
I love,
you did
though,
that,
that
right?
she's now smart enough to ask, because he's like, well, and she goes, no, answer the question, basically. And I'm like,
well,
yes,
and he
girl.
also, like, he turns it around, tries to make himself the victim. It's like, oh, you just don't know how hard this is for. Shut up. I don't think I've.
You have the easy part. You get everything.
What a great name for the character too, Jasper Bloom. Ugh, it sounds like a guy who writes bad romance fiction anyway. Like, ugh. Gross.
That's absolutely diabolical. I mean, like, her boss doesn't know, but that's diabolical. He's like, I want you to report on their wedding, and I'm like, oh,
that
God.
Was crazy too. Like, even if the boss didn't know that she had been having a thing, I was just kind of like, that is so ridiculously unprofessional. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, that's crazy. And also, why, I don't know. Well,
I mean, like, it seems like she did cover, like, the society wedding beat for the paper, because that's what she was writing before, is an article about somebody else's wedding. So it made sense. I didn't think it was, like, crazy of him to ask her unless he knew, but I'm just like, with
coworker
knowing, it's just, like, diabolical. I'm like, oh my God.
No, I think, like, diabolical, yes, but, like, no, I stand by. That is crazy for you to ask someone to cover a coworker's, like, I don't know. Like, I know what you mean. That's what she wrote for them, but, like, that's... Well, and also, like, it can't be a secret to him, like, unless the only person who was aware, which would frankly kind of track with the guy, because he was not being honest with her about, like, to him, she was a booty call,
Yeah.
Like, they were never in a relationship. So maybe it's possible the only person who knew about him was her friend she was talking to.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. I'd be like, the boss should have known that they used to date at least. But I don't know.
I don't think they ever officially dated, and I think that was part of the problem.
No, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I bet they never officially dated, and I bet that's why he didn't know, is because, like, to her, it's like, oh, we're dating. It's like, no. Does he take you on dates? Or does he just sleep with you?
I'm very curious to see, because when he does show up, he does bring a gift, But I'm like, I'm very, very curious to know what he brought, because she got like a very like well thought out, thoughtful, meaningful gift. And like when he's like, "Oh, I forgot to give you a gift," you know, obviously he doesn't have anything, but he's like, "But you'll look hot in it," and I'm like, "Oh, awesome!" He's one of those guys.
Ugh. Yeah. No, man. But great scene. Great for and I love that that's like a thing with that door in that house is it just keeps slamming in dudes' faces.
It has one purpose.
Amanda does it to Ethan at the beginning of the movie, and then Iris does it to Jasper at the end of the movie.
That door is to close off old things and toxic relationships. The door at the cottage is to open yourself to new love. There you go.
Oh
Also,
my god.
the houses are foils.
Oh my
God. Stop it.
Oh my god.
If I ever sound like that, would you please just shoot me? No. But yes, I know. Yeah. This is a fantastic movie. We need to talk about the music.
That's what I was about to get into. So I was surprised to see Hans Zimmer in the credits.
And he even got a shout out in the movie when they're at the video store.
Well, and it's funny too, because I didn't notice that when maybe I did and I just forgot about it or something. But I do remember liking the music a lot in this movie too. That's like one of the things I remembered going into it, like, you know, for this review. It's like, oh, I remember the music was really good too. And then I see him and I'm like, oh my god, what? No wonder I thought the music was good. It's got one of the best. That too, it makes me, because this was kind of, that's stupid. So like Hans Zimmer had to cost a lot for the movie, because I was thinking, oh, maybe he wasn't super big. He was super big. This was post Gladiator. This was like right in the middle of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. So he was like one of the greats at the time this came out. So he must have cost a ton of money. That must be part of the budget. But he did a good job. And I was saying this when I messaged you, like, oh my god, with the music, like, so this is sort of a Christmas movie as well. It's part of the reason I thought it would be so good this time of year. As of, you know, releasing this review, it's going to hopefully be in December. But it feels like Christmas music, especially that song Gumption that you sent me.
Yes.
Which, by the way, great little nod to Arthur, because that's the thing with his female characters that he likes, is he likes them to have gumption. And so, like, that's kind of, I told you, gumption to me, that song is like the main theme of this movie.
Yes.
It's like the music I think of when I think of this movie. And I didn't listen to it when you first sent it to me, because I'm like, let me watch the movie first, and then I'll be able to figure out which song it is. And then when I started playing it, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, this is like the main song in the movie.
Right. It's just like, that's the one that I think has like the best example of the theme in like one song on the soundtrack. It shows up in several of the songs on there, but yeah, that whatever thing that's in there, so good. It like, to me, it's particularly an iconic sounding song. It shows up a lot in, it's even like a transition, like generations. It shows up a lot for people, ironically, when they're showing off their houses for Christmas, on TikTok, when that's like one of the songs they play. But I just love the music. I think the music is really pretty. Even Arthur's theme that Jack Black's character composes is really nice too. And it's like, this is all music I remember. Like, I remember there's certain movies like the music stands out to me first. This is one of them. Another one, Silence of the Lambs, I think has a really good music too. But like, scores can make or break a movie, and I feel like scores often go underappreciated. I remember at BU, I remember Professor apologizing for a movie that we had to watch being heavily scored. I'm like, why? Music's like almost sometimes the best part of the movie. Like, calm down. Like, let the music
strange.
breathe.
That is strange for someone to say. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to be funny, because one thing I remember, like, people who are considered great directors heavily score their movies. One of the times I was watching Inception, I realized there is no point of that movie where there is no music. There is a constant stream of music through that movie.
Interesting. Okay.
great movie, but there's no and again, it kind of depends on what you're going for. Like Inception is a heist movie. It's supposed to be tense, so there just is constantly like, a thread of music going through everything to keep the tension going. And I should have paid more attention. I recently watched Dark Knight like a month or two ago, and I think it was the same deal. And I'm pretty sure it was the same deal in, I don't know. Now I need to watch like all of Chris Nolan's movies, because I'm pretty sure he just composes music for the whole, you know what I mean? Like, even when it's quiet, there's like something going on musically in the background.
Yeah.
But that is weird that a film professor would.
He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "I'm sorry ahead of time. This is like heavily scored." And I'm like, "What? What are you even talking about?"
That's crazy. Again, like that's like a tool of cinema. It's like, what are you talking? I don't know. That's what class was that?
Directing.
Well, that's concerning. I mean, hell, even like, BU alums, the Safdie brothers, they like, the Good Time, Uncut Gems, like both of those had lots of music in them. So I don't know what you're on about, Mr. Directing Professor.
Right.
No, the music's great. And yeah, like I didn't listen to. So it sounds like the soundtrack, that kind of theme, that ba 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 ba, like that is in multiple songs.
And I think that's actually shown up in trailers and stuff. Like it's iconic.
Oh yeah, no, like as I said, that is the melody I associate with this film. But you're saying it's in multiple songs on the soundtrack, though, right?
Yeah, it kind of shows up, because it's a recurring theme. So they have like one piece.
Okay.
That's what I mean. It's a recurring theme. I just think Gumption is like the best example of it to pull from the soundtrack.
Well, and the other thing about, because you mentioned that Arthur's is really good. Completely agree. I just wanted to interject. It kind of reminded me of like Charlie Chaplin or something like that.
Yes,
it had this very like silent era film, like ba 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 da da, like kind of jazzy.
Yes, no, I can totally see
I'm butchering it with my Jack Black scatting, but
you need to scat more.
Are you saying you have a scat fetish, T?
Oh my god, okay. Anyway, stop
it right now.
So
stop it. Get some help.
Get some help. So The Holiday, I think, as you and I would both agree, is a bona fide like holiday classic now. I think I'd even classify it as having like a cult classic and an iconic, romantic comedy label. How was this received when it came
out? Pretty well. I mean, like I didn't really look at movie reviews for preparation, but just in my basic research on IMDb, we've talked about how IMDb is like really tough.
Yeah.
Like a good score, like if you got like a 6 out of 10 on IMDb, you're still probably a good movie. Like it's just a very
snobby
intensely harsh area. This got a 7 out of 10 on IMDb, so that shows like it's well liked. I know without looking at Rotten Tomatoes, it's definitely fresh. And it did well at the box office. One thing I did a little bit of research on, though, because something I've always wondered, and I'm sure you're wondering, and probably we're never... Well, neither of us have our own house, so that's kind of the problem. But anyone who watches this is like, that's such a cool idea for a vacation. Can I do that?
I feel like that would
listeners, yes, you can. Ooh. There's actually 2 websites that are dedicated to this kind of house swapping sort of thing. 2 that I was able to find. So there's Love Home Swap, which I'm not a fan. It almost sounds like broken English, so that I don't know. So Love Home Swap, and then Third Home, which I've actually heard of that website. I didn't realize that was something it did, but Third Home is another one. But hilariously, you want to talk about fate and the magic of love and Christmas tea?
Yeah.
Today, the Daily Mail put out a little article story about 2 girls who met via TikTok who did this.
Ooh.
So the two girls, it's Marie Draxler of London and Lohani Santos from New York City. And so Lohani, I guess, has like a big TikTok following, and she has a apartment in New York City. So I don't know what she does for a living, but probably, probably got some money. I mean, London's nothing to shake a stick at either. But anyway, Marie found a video where Lohani was like saying, I want to do a home exchange like from the holiday. Does anyone want to do this with me? And so because of that, she reached out, hey, I've got an apartment in London. Would you like to do this? They had a Zoom call. They hit it off immediately. They were like BFFs. And that moment, at the same time, they booked their tickets.
Love that.
So they swapped. Lohani went to London. Marie went to New York. They posted about it on TikTok. They, put pics up on Instagram and everything. And unlike this movie, because really, like, there's no... Eventually, there is contact between Amanda and Iris, like, when they're calling her about, like, Graham.
Yeah.
But before that, there's, like, no communication whatsoever. Frankly, when Amanda's heading back, it's like, aren't you going to tell Iris? Or
right? Like should you, like, send her a text or something, at least?
Now that I'm thinking about it, she probably just would have let Iris stay for 2 weeks and just been home. She probably would have just been like, yeah, I live in a mansion. Like just, I don't care.
There's other rooms. Like I can stay somewhere else. It's fine.
But yeah, so these two girls, they actually like communicated. They gave each other tips on places to hit up in their cities. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get a length of time. So I don't know if they did 2 weeks like in the holiday, but they just set it up themselves. So yeah, this is something, I don't know if it existed before this movie, because frankly, it seemed like a fairy tale scenario to begin with when I saw this movie. I was like, people just swap houses? That's a thing?
That seems like a great way to get robbed.
Right? And if any of you young people who listen to the show are like, well, what about Airbnb? That didn't exist. That didn't exist when
and that's
we were
not
teenagers.
that's not really a home swap. I bought a property and I'm renting it out.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a great way to get robbed. Like, oh, that's weird. All my stuff is missing after Amanda came to my house.
I mean,
I don't think Amanda's real.
I don't think Amanda, right? I love though that they kind of just buy into the whole thing, full stop. And because I'd be like, wait, am I really about to get some stranger across the world, just my security codes and everything to get into my house?
It's worth mentioning because usually you talk about this with crazy science fiction stuff or whatever, but the term, we haven't used it in a little while, but oh my goodness, am I gonna forget it because of the brandy? It's suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
So in this particular case, the only suspension of disbelief the audience needs is who would do this with a stranger they met on the internet in 2006 when YouTube has only been around for a year. And good writing. Suspension of disbelief comes from the fact that Iris is an emotional wreck and she stuck her head in the oven. no, she or inhaling gas, whatever. Yeah. She's at that point. She's at the dark point. So she has nothing to lose. She would not care if she got robbed. Right. And then as far as Amanda goes, she's rich. Good luck robbing Amanda. Even if you, I'm sure she's got security cameras. Well, even if you did rob her, she's still got money, so she could, I'm sure her insurance is great.
And it sounds it sounds like her staff was heavily involved too, because even Iris says, I have to check with her assistant to make sure that you're supposed to be here and take the laptop or whatever.
Yup. So it makes sense on both ends. Iris is reckless because she's an emotional wreck, and Amanda
is just reckless.
Is fine. She's reckless, and she's rich enough to be reckless.
Yeah.
With that in mind, what kind of rating would you give this one, T?
I give this 3.5 out of 4 stars. It's almost perfect. It's not. I couldn't tell you what's imperfect about it, but it's not perfect. but
Yeah.
it's really good. It's a really good rom-com. It's emotionally mature. I feel like to an extent it's realistic. I feel like it deals with actual relationship problems. It doesn't try to gloss over them, but it still sort of is able to pull off sort of this very fairy tale-ish sheen on top of all of this stuff. And I feel like he does it very well. And it's, like I said, it's super cozy, very fun to have with I mean, I don't have a fireplace, but like with a crackling fire and a blanket and this movie and maybe some hot chocolate or some wine. That just sounds like an amazing night. And I feel like very few movies can stoke up that sort of, just even like, you feel like you have to have an experience to watch it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I associate this film with Christmas. I associate it with like cozy weather and stuff. And it was actually kind of perfect. Before we started recording, I mentioned how it's been raining in California the last like 10 days. And watching this, I, rented it on Amazon, got cozy with my laptop and just kind of, curled up on my couch and watched it. And it was a very cozy experience. I also would say the film isn't perfect, and I'd say the two kind of flaws. One, I think Jack Black's good in this role, but there are some like lines of dialogue that come off kind of corny.
Yeah.
And they just bother me a little bit. Like I like that Arthur is like this cinema legend, but there's just like things where it's like, saying kid at the end of Casablanca was his idea. That's so crazy. Like, I don't know. That felt a little overly like silly. Like, I don't know. Like little things like that.
I feel like with Jack Black, for me, it's like he's good in this role, but you can tell, I feel like you can still tell this is a role that's outside of his acting comfort zone. And I feel like that does, as I said, he's playing in some scenes.
He's playing himself, so I'm like the weird dialogue I'm not going to attribute to him. And it's not even just like, there's like some other bits or like in other parts of the movie not related to him where I'm like, I don't know, it feels a little too cheesy. Little things with the dialogue. There's certain older movies that even though they take place in like the 70s or something, they just feel timeless. It's like, oh yeah, they don't have cell phones, but you don't think about that.
Right.
If this were a perfect movie, I think it would feel timeless.
Yeah.
And I don't think it does. And again, the film can't really help that. It wasn't like it was, doing something foolish, like basing the premise on like a fad at the time or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think its strength is the casting and the premise. Like the fact that this inspired people to kind of do this sort of vacation swap, even today, like there's websites dedicated to it. And the fact that in all the comments on like the TikToks from that story I was telling you, all the like people are like, oh my God, this is like The Holiday, but for real. That shows that this film has made a massive cultural impact.
Yeah.
Like it is a part of pop culture, even though it is almost 20 years old. Like people think of this as like a classic romantic comedy.
Oh yeah, it is.
So it's not perfect. It's funny. I'm giving this a 3.5 out of 4 as well. So we're literally giving it the same thing. But those are like the flaws I'd articulate. Otherwise, it's pretty solid. Like it doesn't overstay its welcome. It doesn't feel overly long. It remains compelling throughout. And yeah, I think if you are emotionally mature or you are just someone who's had enough life experience to kind of appreciate little subtle things, it'll really get you in the feels. And yeah, 3.5 out of 4 for me. I will definitely not wait as long as I have to watch this again.
Should we do a home swap? You can have my apartment and I can have your barn.
I was thinking about that. And it's not a barn. It's not a barn.
Fine, your guest cottage.
Right? No, we could maybe. I've been thinking again now by that, or we need to take a trip to Savannah. We're always talking about
yes.
But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you like The Holiday? Do you think that we're a couple of schmucks? Did you like my scatting at the beginning? Let us know down in the comments if you're listening to this on YouTube Music. If you are listening to this on any platform, we have a whole backlog of episodes you can listen to. We've covered some rom-coms in the past. As a matter of fact, just at the very beginning of this year, not really a comedy exactly, but Somewhere in Time was one of our better reviews from this year. So you can check that out. But yeah. Oh, and do not forget that me and T are on Letterboxd.
It's been fun. And next film, join us for adventures in East Texas.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Well, and you say next film, who knows, T? They might have already listened to that episode and came to this one because we're posting them on the same day.
If you listen it in chronological order, which you should, okay, then East Texas. If not, I hope you enjoyed this film in the UK/London. I mean,
yeah, and if you did like this film, the next film is going to be extra romantic, and you should definitely listen to it with all the lights off.
Has one of my favorite romance scenes in it, unironically. Well, maybe ironically.
Well, talk to you guys again. We are filling, the year's coming to a close, so hope you've been enjoying it so far. But until next time, I've been Whiskey.
I've been Sweet Tea.
Keeping it Kino.
And suck it, Scorsese.
Peace out, y'all. Talk to you in another one.
And enjoy the holiday. Reels on the Rocks is a production of La Prince Laboratories. It is edited and produced by Alejandro Castillo and programmed by Jamie King. Original music is provided by Pat Mars and original artwork by Asa Esparza.